A little boy screamed at his mother's funeral in Paris. "Wait! My mother is not dead!" The entire cemetery fell silent. Rain poured from the gray French sky as 6-year-old Lucien Dubois ran toward the coffin, crying uncontrollably. People thought it was only the pain of losing his mother. But seconds later, the boy revealed a secret nobody was prepared to hear. Boy cries at mother's funeral. The funeral of Elise Dubois took place near a small church in Paris. Friends and relatives stood silently around the coffin, while soft violin music played in the background. Lucien held his father's hand tightly, his small face covered in tears. Elise had died in a terrible car accident only 3 days earlier. Since that night, Lucien barely spoke, until now. As the priest finished his prayer, workers slowly began lowering the coffin into the ground. Suddenly, Lucien screamed, "No, stop!" Everyone turned. The little boy ran forward and hugged the coffin desperately. "She promised me she would come back!" His father, Marc Dubois, tried to pull him away gently, but Lucien cried harder. Then the boy shouted something terrifying. "She said if something happened to her, I must give Papa the red envelope." Marc froze instantly. "What envelope?" Lucien wiped his tears. "In her piano." Confused murmurs spread through the cemetery. That same evening, Marc rushed home with Lucien. In the corner of the apartment stood Elise's old piano. With shaking hands, Marc opened it. Inside was a hidden red envelope. And inside the envelope, photos. Photos of Elise secretly meeting another man. Marc's heart stopped, but then he noticed another paper beneath the photos. It was a letter written by Elise. "Marc, if you are reading this, I'm gone. The man in the photos is not my lover. He is a detective." Marc stared in shock. Elise explained that before her death, she discovered someone inside her company was stealing millions of euros. She was helping the police secretly. And then came the sentence that changed everything. My accident was not an accident. Marc's hands began trembling. At that exact moment, someone knocked loudly on the apartment door. 3 slow knocks. Marc opened the door carefully. 2 police officers stood outside. "Monsieur Dubois," one officer said quietly, "we need your wife's evidence." Weeks later, the criminals were arrested across France. News channels called Elise a hero, but little Lucien still cried every night for his mother. One evening, Marc found him sleeping beside the piano. In his tiny hands was his mother's final letter, and written at the bottom were the words, "Whenever you hear music, I am still with you." Marc finally broke down in tears. As soft piano music filled the dark Paris apartment, father and son cried together under the city lights of France.